Kia ora everybody. Today we are going to be doing another tutorial, and this one is about writing, and we are going to be starting at the beginning, and we're going to start at why we start at the sentence level with writing. So whenever I'm teaching a new student in my practice, chances are that I'm not just teaching them reading, but I'm also teaching them writing. Someone called Pam Alam said reading is breathing in and writing is breathing out. And the two areas are interconnected. So I wouldn't see myself as a good teacher if I were not teaching both. And then generally when I find I'm doing a literacy assessment, I do find that students can't put a coherent sentence together. So therefore starting at the sentence level is something that I do. So basically what we want to get out of starting at the sentence level is to stop that feeling of overwhelm. If students are jumping straight into paragraphs or stories, then this can overload their working memory. So therefore, if we're going to be teaching writing, we want to be teaching it that short, concise sentence level practice. We can focus on capitalisation, syntax, punctuation, and we're not going to be overloading that cognitive load. Certainly when I'm starting at the sentence level, I like to explain to students that an essay is just basically a bunch of paragraphs. A paragraph is a bunch of sentences, and in actual fact, there are only 4 different types of sentences, and they are the statement, the question, the exclamation, and the command. A statement is also sometimes known as the declaration. Now, each of these is going to begin with a capital letter for the beginning of the sentence, and each of these different types of sentences will finish with appropriate punctuation. So, for example, a statement is going to start with a capital letter. So, for example, if we've got the jet boat travels fast, we will start with a capital letter and we will finish with a full stop. So with a statement or declaration, our appropriate punctuation is the full stop. Now, the question will also start, of course, with a capital letter, but it will end with a question mark. So why does the jet boat travel fast? Okay, question mark. Now, the other thing that we can do with these is we can also start to talk about the fact that with a question, our voice rises up at the end. With a statement, our voice goes down, full stop goes down. And with a question, the inflection of our voice will go up. So why does the jet boat travel fast? So we go up. So then, of course, we can start working in a little bit of prosody. All right, we have the next one, which is an exclamation. So I'm going to go, that jet boat travels fast. And my exclamation is going to show some kind of emotion, so strong feeling or emotion. And there, of course, we begin with the capital letter and we end with the exclamation mark. Now, our final type of sentence is the command. All right. So I might have the command, get on the jet boat. Get on the jet boat. Now, a exclamation starts with a capital letter, but it can either finish with a full stop or it can finish with an exclamation mark. So we have the 2 sorts of punctuation that we can end there with. Now, of course, with an exclamation, we're also going to put a little bit of force into our voice. I love this song. You look gorgeous today. And then also with a command, we're going to put that authoritative sound in our voice. Get the dog, clean the room, tidy up. So again, we can talk about that prosody, that inflection that comes through when we're reading things back. So generally when I am teaching students, I'll begin by working in a lot of that dialogue that I've just worked in then, and then we will go through some worked examples. So basically what I might do is I might put up one of those types of sentences, so perhaps a statement, and then I will work through each of the different types of sentence with the appropriate punctuation together. We might do that a couple of times, and then I'll let the students have a go themselves. So, for example, I've just picked up some ones here. So, for example, statement: I see my dog. Question: Do you see my dog? Exclamation: There's my dog. And command: Get my dog. And then you can start to create a little bit of work like this here, where you provide the example up the top and then leave some space for students to work through. So we've gone through the I do, we do, we do, we do, and then of course releasing that little bit of control and get the gradual release and getting them to have a go themselves. Now, one of the other things that I am really big on is putting text at the center. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about, of course, is using text, the text that we're using to support writing. Now, basically, the reason I do this is, again, reading is breathing in and writing is breathing out. The two areas are interconnected. If students are writing about what they're reading about, not only is that going to help cement the knowledge, but you're also providing them with a template of how you want them to do their writing. So, for example, you can provide from low levels with writing. The cat is on the mat. I see the cat. I love the cat. So we can do some pretty low levels of sentence writing, right up to our higher levels there as well. And what you could do is you could create a text that has all four types of sentences in them, and then get your students to find those types of sentence. You can then also provide them with one of those types of sentences and get them to rearrange the words within it to create the four different types of sentences. So I do have a blog post that I've written about this, which has some worked examples in there, and I do have a couple of sentence level downloads that you can use as templates. So I'll link them all into this blog post, into this little bite-sized professional development. And basically, in conclusions, by beginning at the sentence level, we give these students a safe and structured way to figure out where to begin. Okay, we let them breathe in through the reading, we let them breathe out through the writing, we encourage them to write one clear thought at a time, and once they've got that under their belts, they're ready to build up these paragraphs and eventually through to full essays. And there is nothing wrong with taking students right back to that sentence level. Take them back to those foundational skills no matter what age they're sitting at. And we can start putting in some of these good writing habits. I hope you found this informative. Let me know, comment, like, share, whatever. But yeah, give me some feedback and let me know what you think. Ka kite.